Hey, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. Thanks for coming. I'm going to jump right into it. I think we've got a few people joining us today. So the agenda today is to go over a bunch of the recent news, major milestones, including our announcement of 100 million devices sold, another successful Hockey Canada event, and then our main event, which is our cruise lines and a lot of the product development that's happening there. We're now, really the number one choice for cruise for IoT, which is a major milestone. So we're super happy about an initiative we went after pretty aggressively, and it has turned out really well. So congrats to the team on that. The Royal Caribbean Tracelet announcement that came out today, and really want to talk about the future of cruise IoT, which is something that we've been getting deeper into with all of our cruise customers. So I think the news, our other news releases, TraceSafe receives ISO 27001 certification. Just to explain ISO 27001, it's basically, you see a lot of SaaS companies, that you might use on a day-to-day basis. And when people are just starting up, you really don't know how your data is being handled, where it's going, where it's stored, what's going on. Most of those companies, once they reach a level of maturity, and in the case of, for example, like Airtable got their ISO 27001 certification definitely within the last 12 months. But they had been a company, and growing for, a long time. Now they have a more consumer-facing product, so the consumers are a lot more familiar with them. If you know what Airtable is, if you don't know what Airtable is, it's a kind of a consumer database product. It can help you make a CRM or a small web app or something like that. They recently got it, after they were multi-billion-dollar company. For us, since we're going after corporate customers first, it's important that we get these certifications early. And those certifications give the corporate customers, the confidence they need to know that we don't need to go through a technical audit or a new security certification, or go deep with their technology team. They can just look at the certification and make a judgment call based on what they know about those requirements, which is that it's the gold standard of data handling and the handling of the data from when it comes into your system, how it's stored, the encryption that's used, all the way into how it's handled at an operational level with employees and everything like that. So the two kind of gold standards around this are SOC 2 and ISO 27001. And so we got the ISO 27001 certification. And so what does that mean on a practical level is that we can go out to more businesses, higher value customers, and it really expands the number of contracts we can get, and it puts us in better position to win more of those contracts where there's a competitive situation. This morning we talked about the River Oaks Baptist School in Texas launching an innovative new beacon tech there. I think we're going to talk a lot about the education technology market and how we're working to kind of put out new products and new tools for that education market, which is going to be very big. We see wearables potentially becoming quite a major part of that world in the education and ed tech sector. And finally, obviously, the big announcement was TraceSafe. We signed a 2-year technology partnership with Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Royal Caribbean, obviously, a global leader in cruise hospitality. In a non-COVID year, they'll have over 6 million guest passengers per year. And this is really kind of cementing us in the cruise ship industry and sending a very strong signal that we are, able to deliver a product and work together with the most demanding, largest customers in that industry. So super, super, super proud of that milestone. So 1 million devices sold. So this is a great time to talk about a couple things. Number one, as we move to these bigger customers, talking about Royal Caribbean, Micron, these large scale enterprise customers, we are having to do more and more customization. And every time we do customization, whether it's on the hardware side or on the software side, we are building tools and frameworks and products that make our platform more generalizable. So, we're not just making ad hoc things. We're trying to make, experiences and products inside of our system that are reusable. For example, messaging. Messaging might have been a big component of a recent customer, but instead of just building an ad hoc messaging system that delivers, the exact message, we're building messaging layers into our entire product so that if any other customers want to access the messaging component, they can. And so that's really, every time we get a bigger customer, every time we move more devices, the platform is becoming more fulsome and able to offer clients more control over what they do when it comes to the design of the products, when it comes to the functionality of the software. It's really making us a lot better. So just wanted to emphasize that. The average selling price of our devices is going up. And early in the company's life cycle, we were focused on a lot of acute pandemic response items. A lot of those were disposable. They had a low selling price. The new customers are, looking for higher end devices, better fit and finish, like really premium stuff. So, the cost per device has been going, steadily higher. And, with these customers, they're doing so much on the software side that we end up with, a much more consistent revenue stream through monthly software fees. And, finally, our platform is processing over 15 million contacts per day. So, as far as like the scale of what we can do from the data side, it's really, really in a league of our own as far as the technology and what we can do with the architecture and the way everything's designed. So really exciting. I'll talk about Hockey Canada now. So Hockey Canada, we had another, world, there's a Women's World Hockey Championship. This is on the back of the Men's World Junior Hockey Championship. So, just a glimpse into, what we were doing there. It was quarantine management, contact tracing, and really, this is for the media, for all the teams. So just a quick, recap of what we did. We've just given like a quick output of how many contacts, just the volume of contacts that we were doing during that tournament. And, another success story, another way that TraceSafe helped an event come back, be successful, not be interrupted. We were actually in Halifax when the original one was canceled. And, had it not been canceled, we still think we could have made a huge impact on how successful that event was. So on the cruise ship side, so enterprise IoT for cruise ships, it's becoming a big thing. Obviously, COVID has brought this into focus, but partially it's testament to how well we're able to really innovate um, at speed in high risk situations. Um, so 3 cruise ship customers now. Fred Olson was our first customer. There's interesting learning that we did there, which was, um, the first bulk assignment functionality to pair and unpair thousands of devices in seconds. This is a great example of what I was talking about before, where we've productized a feature set that was really, really vital to one customer, but we've pushed it across everything. So this bulk assign unassign thing works throughout what we do, and it's a very unique thing for us in the industry as far as how well it gets executed across an enterprise and how much it can lower the bar to entry for people coming in and getting involved with the product. So super important kind of client product journey that has paid dividends in a bunch of our deployments over the last 6-8 months. This is something we'll also talk about. You land in these environments. Micron is a great example. Micron started out with 20,000. We're now up to 80,000 devices. Fred Olson started out just on a couple cruise ships. Now we're in their corporate offices and everywhere. So these devices really kind of can spread through an environment. Once they see the use cases, it becomes very easy to deploy and expand your reach inside of a customer's environment. So for Viking, again, a premier cruise line. We started out with 6 ships. We have a lot of new product development. Viking is like Royal Caribbean, very innovative company, always looking for interesting things to do. We've developed totally new form factors for them. We're looking at many new form factors. Perhaps, one of the things we're doing is we're developing something with a screen, a monitor on the device that can do messaging. It can also do broadcast messaging. So there's a lot of exciting stuff there. One of the most interesting learnings on the Viking side was integrating with SKO, which is their embarkment and disembarkment partner. And the key thing with them is we wanted to have our product live in a way that it didn't add any time to a guest experience. We never wanted this to be a hassle for people. And so, our integration with SKO meant that, we've only added a couple seconds, literally, I think 2 seconds on average to any of the customer onboarding or disembarking. And this is one of our first deployments that had a rechargeable battery. So obviously designing those rechargeable cases and everything that goes along with it was an interesting product journey. And Viking continues to be a great collaborator and great partner to TraceSafe. So we're looking forward to many new products that are going to go through the Viking world. Finally, we've been talking about Royal Caribbean, obviously the largest kind of in the cruise industry, largest volume customer. We did a new custom tracelet device, has RFID integration for keyless cabin entry. We really are pushing with the RCCL team, particularly the innovation team under Jay Schneider, to develop new technology devices. And the areas that are important are crew logistics, analytics, the where are kids on the boat at any given time? So there's a lot to be looking forward to when it comes to that partnership. We're very thankful and feel very honored to work with Royal Caribbean, to be working with Viking, and to be working with Fred Olsen. These are great, great brands and incredible partners, and we feel very, very fortunate and excited to be working with all these companies. So on the future of cruise IoT, so I've touched a few of these topics. Um, the uh, the big ones I think are the display. Um, what you can do as far as messaging around a cruise ship. This is something that's applicable in all sorts of environments, but basically being able to push messaging to your customers contextually and in a broadcast sense. Um, so this is really exciting. So your device, your smart device, just ends up becoming a smart kind of ticket that changes, the context changes based on where and what you're doing on the boat. It's super interesting, as far as moving through different places. When you're in a restaurant, you get restaurant context where you're supposed to be seated. When it's time to disembark the boat, you're getting context around which exits are going to be the easiest to get to. So really improving that display being a major improvement point for how people get their information on a boat. Um, there's a lot of opportunity to work inside of an app, but I think one of the pieces of feedback that we hear time and time again is that on the cruise ship, some of the passengers are just not that tech savvy. So for them, having a dedicated device that just has context specific information is a huge plus. We're exploring Wi-Fi connectivity rather than just the BLE connectivity, which is going to be really great and open up a lot of the messaging and other applications. So that's a huge breakthrough for us. Um, Push notifications and feedback. So service requests, suggestions, all that kind of stuff is very interesting. BLE and RFID, combining powerful technology for contact tracing, location tracking, and iBeacons, to build in push notifications and context dependent experiences, and having a true contactless experience as well. So that's very, very cool. So from some of these examples, crew communication is something that we hear over and over again. Capacity management. Um, uh, so this could be nearby staff being alerted of something going on. Calls for staff to be different servers or other staff being relocated aboard the boat to help with different items. Heat mapping, so concentration levels around different activities that are going on is something really important. Access request, so staff members looking for keyless access entry, and then proximity marketing and context dependent, anything context dependent information aboard the boat. Is interesting, and you can know where people are going and congregating, and what's interesting and how their experiences are changing throughout their stay. So just touch on some of the analytic stuff. I think generate and learn from the data is a theme that we hear over and over again. These IoT devices really provide you with rich, powerful context to improve and optimize your operations. Understanding traffic patterns, using the movement data to compare time spent at these locations with revenue generation opportunities is massive. And understanding ship utilization, where are things being, this can all funnel into new design and how you'll actually build the boats of the future. How efficiently are you utilizing those resources? um, and just all the custom metrics and points that customers want to keep track of. So we're working always to provide those data points. So our beacon technology, really giving us intelligence into how room occupancy is going. If you want to speed up the rate at which you clean up the cabins for housekeeping or other things, they're always trying to shave off time when it comes to embarking and disembarking. Time in port is expensive, and they can reduce that cost. So finding resources quickly, and really pushing the crew, from a messaging standpoint. When you see something going on the boat where, staff, servers, whatever needs to be sent, to solve the problem, you can get that context in real time. And so that's super important. Yeah, so I think, the major win that we've obviously been working on for a very long time is the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Super proud of all the work that our sales team put into that, our team put into developing these new devices. I think obviously there was a huge crush of activity as far as like what it took for everybody to pull together and deliver this customer, which was a massive undertaking. So obviously hats off to everyone, operations, sales, and product that really pushed this to completion. So yeah, I think I'll grab a couple questions, and yeah, we'll just kind of scroll up and see. So I think there's a few questions about, does Face Drive's impending bankruptcy benefit TraceSafe? I haven't been following what's going on with Face Drive. Hopefully, none of their customers are impacted. I don't know what the status is and how it might affect TraceSafe. Obviously, they had one business line that was competitive with ours. I'm not sure how much traction or customer growth they experienced there. We actually did see them once out on the road with one customer, but that was it. The exclusivity agreements required by Royal Caribbean. No, so there was no exclusivity on the Royal Caribbean deal. Obviously, they the Tracelet name and that branding and everything associated with Royal Caribbean is theirs, and but as far as no other exclusivity there. So next quarterly report should be coming out very soon. We use the summer months. We've been beefing up our finance group, and getting out these quarterly reports on a more timely basis is hugely important to us. Export Development Bank of Canada. Unfortunately not. I don't think they have been super receptive to what we've been doing. Although we are a Canadian company, we are exporting technology. You would think that we fit within their framework quite well. The parent company is, of course, a BVI corporate. So, but we have it on our schedule to revisit with BDC, the Export Development Bank, the EDC, in the fourth quarter here. So revenue impact from today's news. So I'll just give you, a sense of what we've been working on with RCCL is we've shipped them about 150,000 units. And so, a lot of how we um, move forward with the cruise lines is going to be dependent on, how they want to handle their users, and meaning, which, how fast wearable adoption moves through their organization. Um, so that's going to be something that's a factor. And then secondly, how quickly can their industry come back? And so obviously we are, um, becoming a larger player with those cruise ship companies, but there's obviously some factors that we can't control. But yeah, Royal Caribbean has become a volume uh, customer, and we've delivered our first big shipment to them, which was a huge crush of units. And Yeah, I think the scope of them just as an organization kind of speaks for itself. But our first shipment was for about 150,000 units. And I think just overall, kind of generally speaking, we're pretty happy with how things are progressing in Q3, and outside of um, RCCL, all of the yeah, that's definitely our biggest. It's definitely our biggest dollar amount as well. So I don't want to necessarily. I don't know if that it's right for me to disclose the exact amount that they're paying, but I think from a dollar amount perspective, it's definitely um, might be our biggest order. So I think that's it. So I think Marcus, I'm just saying, take a look at the Q3 revenue numbers, and you'll have the full growth trajectory um, for what's going on. And, I've said, quite a few times, as we move through 2020, 2020 was a year that we measured in quarterly growth. Every quarter it was growing, and it was just rapid kind of uptake. And now I think, effectively we're looking at annual growth rates here, and really we're trying to look out 2-3 years in advance as to what we can do, what our product can achieve from a pipeline perspective, um, rather than exactly what's happening on a quarter by quarter basis. Because as our customers get bigger, the orders are getting lumpier, things are moving. You may have a quarter that far outshoots, to the upside, um, and then goes back to a normalization rate. But annually speaking, we should have. We've already seen. We've already disclosed our quarterly numbers. I think we had one quarter that was bigger than all of 2020. So we're making incredible progress there. Yeah, I don't think we'll get to 100% share of the cruise line market. We want to be a big player there, and I think we've already made a massive and meaningful dent in that market. So on the Airbeam, um, I don't know what I can talk about here on this call, but there's some incredibly good progress. Airbeam's recently appointed a new CEO, who comes from one of the most important and senior positions in Canadian telco, and so that is uh, that is some amazing news. But that is for Airbeam to talk about, and not me. Um, New financing needed in 2022. We're growing so fast. We're going to be, in need of financing. There's no question. I think it's just a matter of timing and pricing and how we do it. But there's a lot going on in the background as far as that is concerned. Um, Working with some incredible partners on some of the key initiatives that we talked about at the beginning of the year. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for coming by. Really appreciate everyone's time, and happy to share this great news and sort of give this quarterly update, which has been very positive. And we will see you next time.